You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We depropagandize the mainstream media. That is exactly what we do. We also make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. And commentary being opinion, it's something that you have and something that I have about almost anything. They're equally valuable, so by all means, let's share them. Let's compare them. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Greetings, John David Wells on Thursday. For your TGIF fans, sure happy it's Thursday. Think about it. It is the 5th day of September, year of our Lord 2024. It happened yesterday. Weeks into the school year, classrooms and hallways turned into scenes of carnage and horror in Winder, Georgia. That mass shooting was the 45th school shooting so far this year and the deadliest U.S. school shooting since March 2023, the massacre at the Covenant School in Nashville that left 6 people dead. In Georgia, the suspect is a 14-year-old student accused of killing 2 students and 2 teachers with an AR-style rifle. 9 more people were hospitalized. I heard gunshots outside my classroom, people screaming, people begging not to get shot, said the 14-year-old student Macy Wright. And then people sitting beside me were shaking and crying. While another community grieves another senseless school shooting, investigators are revealing more details about the case. Here is what is known. The teen suspect left his Algebra 1 class around 9:45 a.m. His classmate, Laila Sayarath, told CNN. The classroom doors lock automatically near the end of class. The suspect knocked on the door trying to come back in. Another student went to open the door, but apparently saw the gun and refused to let him in. That diversion may have saved her life. I think he wanted to come to us first. Instead, the shooter turned to a nearby classroom and opened fire. You hear about 10 to 15 rounds back to back, said Laila. The first report of an active shooter came in at around 10:20 a.m. 2 school resource officers and other law enforcement quickly arrived. Georgia Bureau of Investigations Director Chris Hosey said. One of the school resource officers confronted the shooter who surrendered and was taken into custody. This according to Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith. The suspect, Colt Gray, is being held today at Gainesville Regional Youth Detention Center. The Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice told CNN he will make his first court appearance tomorrow. This according to department spokesperson Glenn Allen. Gray is continuing to cooperate with investigators, Smith told CNN on Thursday. That's today. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp called the mass shooting everybody's worst nightmare. It's a nightmare shared by many Americans across the country. So far this year, the United States has suffered at least 385 mass shootings, according to the Gun Violence Archive, which is a biased 501c3. It's a group, it's a think tank basically that just says, they count up all this stuff and they have an interesting way of categorizing these things. They define mass shootings as those in which 4 or more people are shot. That's an average of more than 1.5 mass shootings every day. So you have to look at this and think this over before you take that kind of information to the bank. 2 14-year-old students, Christian Angulo and Maiden Schermerhorn, went to school and never came home. The shooter also killed 53-year-old math teacher Christina Ermy and 39-year-old math teacher and assistant football coach Richard Aspinwall. We are truly heartbroken. Christian's older sister, Lisette Angulo, posted on GoFundMe. He was a very good kid, and he was so sweet and caring. He was loved by many. Another verified GoFundMe page was established to help the family of Aspinwall, a beloved football coach. To our beloved defensive coordinator, Ricky Aspinwall, we carry you heavy in our hearts. We love you, Coach Al, or Coach A. That's the Appalachia football team posting on X today. Appalachia's home football game. Let me make sure. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, Appalachia's home football game has been canceled. The team opponent posted on Facebook. Ermi, who was active in her local Romanian community and church, is being remembered as a hero. Said Father Nikolai Klempus, pastor at the St. Mary Romanian Orthodox Church in Dacula, Georgia. We're very sorry that we lost a good soul. In addition to the victims killed, 9 people were injured and hospitalized, according to authorities. Those patients are expected to recover. We don't expect any more fatalities at this time. There was an NBC report that came to us, and we wanted to share that with you here on the Wells Report as we keep things rolling for this Thursday afternoon.
We now know, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, that the suspect has been charged with 4 counts of felony murder, and more charges are expected. We are also expecting that suspect to make a virtual court appearance tomorrow for an arraignment. According to the sheriff, this alleged shooter, Colt Gray, 14 years old, had just transferred to this school district in the last couple of weeks and actually was just on his second day in the school, according to authorities, when he is accused of carrying out this deadly shooting rampage.
All right, so we still don't know anything about motive, still don't know anything about what was inside this kid's head that made him think that this was something he had to do. And so we're trying to find out more about that. There is an article from USA Today. A 14-year-old is accused of carrying out the deadliest school shooting this year, killing 4 people and injuring 9 others at a high school in Georgia. This, according to authorities. Police say the suspected shooter, Colt Gray, opened fire yesterday morning at Appalachia High School in Winder, a rural town about an hour northeast of Atlanta. Law enforcement arrived within minutes, confronted the teen, who surrendered and was taken into custody. 2 students, 2 teachers killed. You know their names. The shooter used an AR platform-style weapon, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Director, Chris Hosey, who said authorities are investigating how the gun was obtained. Last year, local law enforcement spoke with Gray. Listen carefully. Last year, local law enforcement spoke with Colt Gray and his father about reported threats to commit a school shooting made on an online platform called Discord. Investigators said conflicting evidence prevented them from identifying the author of the post. Here's what we know about the alleged gunman, according to USA Today. The gunman was questioned about shooting threats on Discord. He was on the radar of local law enforcement. He was tied to several online threats reported anonymously to the FBI last year. In May of 2023, the FBI received several anonymous tips from as far as California and Australia that a Discord user had threatened to shoot up a school, according to investigative reports obtained by USA Today. The threats, which also contained images of guns, were forwarded to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. An email associated with the suspect's Discord account was owned by Colt Gray, according to the FBI analysis. The evidence also indicated the account may have been accessed in other Georgia cities, as well as in Virginia and New York. An investigator with the sheriff's office noted that the Discord user profile name was written in Russian, and the letters translated to Lanza, which law enforcement said was a reference to Adam Lanza, the man who killed 26 people at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, in 2012. In an interview with investigators, Gray said he had deleted his Discord account and denied posting the threats. Colt expressed concern someone is accusing him of threatening to shoot up a school, stating he would never say such a thing, even in a joking manner, the report said. One investigator described Gray, who was 13 at the time, as calm and reserved. Investigators interviewed Gray's father, who said he had hunting rifles in the house, but that his son did not have unfettered access to them. The father also said neither he or his son speaks Russian, and he told investigators the email address associated with the Discord account was unfamiliar to both he and his son. At this time, due to the inconsistent nature of the information received by the FBI, the allegation that Colt or his father is the user behind the Discord account that made the threat cannot be substantiated, an investigator with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office wrote in a report. The case will be exceptionally cleared. The Sheriff's Office noted the school where Gray was a student. However, the school year had already ended by that time. They interviewed Gray and his father, according to investigative records. Jackson County Sheriff Janice Mangum said in an interview with USA Today that she'd read through the reports of the investigation, said there was nothing that investors could have done at the time. We did all we could at the time with what we had. My heart goes out to those families. They're in my prayers. Yesterday was a devastating day. And so this young man was on the radar of local law enforcement. His father says there was not unfettered access to weapons. Well, what does that mean? Just exactly what was in the way of Colt Gray grabbing one of these rifles, if it was one of these rifles. What's the story about this Discord account? Was it hacked? Was it hacked? Isn't it strange that this Discord account that goes back to this kid in some way, shape, or form, although denied in 2023, is suddenly made true by his actions, apparent actions of yesterday? There's all kinds of weird things around this. Why? I mean, the kid is talking to police. Okay. Wonder what we're going to hear about those conversations and when we will. But this is very odd. So this 14-year-old kid gets access to an AR platform rifle. Whose rifle is it? How come we don't know? Why wasn't that talked about? Does it belong to his dad? And if it does belong to his dad, does dad go to jail along with his son if he's found guilty? I've been thinking about this long and hard. I truly have. I've been thinking about these juveniles that have access to family weapons. Take them to school and shoot up their classmates. I do believe, and I thought about this a lot, parents are responsible for those weapons. They are absolutely responsible for those weapons. And that means that if their kids grab one of those weapons, take it to a school, and shoot their classmates with it, you're an accessory to murder. Now, I'm interested in what you have to say about that. 817-379-2172. Should parents of school shooters, should they be held legally responsible for what their child does with their rifle up until the age of 18? 817-379-2172. I think it's a no-brainer. And I talked about this yesterday at some length with some great passion, in fact. It seems to me that there are things that could be done. For example, metal detectors on doorways in public schools. Oh, but that would be so incredibly expensive. Public schools are already incredibly expensive. We throw billions upon billions upon billions of dollars every single year at public schools. We can take some of that money and we can put metal detectors on the doors. We can stop screwing around with whether or not there are people that are qualified to carry weapons in schools that also happen to be teachers. You start with the teachers that have a concealed weapons permit. That's what you start with. And you make sure that those people know what deadly force is and when to apply it and when not to apply it. And you let those people carry weapons. Those people that don't want to carry weapons, they get to carry first aid kits, comprehensive ones, trauma kits. And they learn how to deal with gunshot wounds. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't think it would be a bad idea to have an EMT2 category for teachers that they should take and have the tools to be able to use that training. We can stop this. We can stop this. But what I'm concerned about is, like so many other things, it seems as though the politicians would rather have the argument than have the solution. Your thoughts, 817-379-2172.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Good afternoon. John David Wells thanking you very much for joining us on Thursday afternoon, the 5th day of September, year of our Lord 2024. A U.S. Navy sailor has been detained in Venezuela, and there aren't any clear reasons as to why that would be the case. A U.S. Navy sailor is being detained in Venezuela after traveling to the country on personal leave. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby confirmed the detainment of the sailor during a news briefing. Quote, "My understanding was that this individual was on some sort of personal travel and not on official government business. We're obviously in touch, as appropriate as you think it might be, with Venezuelan authorities to try and get more knowledge and information about this." The State Department also announced it's closely following the detention. It remains unclear why the sailor was detained, but the situation does coincide with continuous turmoil between Washington and Caracas, the capital of Venezuela. Why in heaven's name would some country just reach out and grab one of our sailors or one of our journalists or one of our Jewish fellow citizens? Why in heaven's name would you do that? I'll tell you why. Because there is no accountability from the United States government when people grab our fellow citizens. Hamas grabs 7 Americans October 7th, holds them hostage, killed one of them the other day, and we have done nothing. The Biden administration really doesn't talk that much about American hostages, preferring to talk about all hostages. Why? Is it because American hostages don't have any special standing in the Biden administration? Now, I'm sure that if I asked Karine Jean-Pierre that very question in the White House press room, assuming I could ever get in there, she'd say, oh, no, good heavens, no. No, that's not the case at all. No, we care about these American hostages. We work 24/7, 365 on getting them back. How? What are you doing? Having a slumber party in the White House Situation Room? What are you guys doing? They're still there. True, President Biden did oversee the return of some Americans from Russia. But we didn't do anything about the hostages in Israel and in the Gaza Strip, did we? And why was it that those guys in Russia spent so much time there in the first place? Is it because they weren't black female basketball players? Does that have anything to do with it? And again, I ask this question. Why wouldn't a country that wasn't necessarily on friendly terms with the United States of America hesitate one bit to grab an American citizen? Well, who's going to stop them? Certainly not going to be the Biden administration. It's not going to be the State Department of the Biden administration. Certainly not going to be the FBI or the CIA or anybody else of the Biden administration. So just exactly what does the Biden administration think when other nations kidnap, hold hostage our fellow citizens? Boy, I'd love the answer to that question. Why in heaven's name would anybody think that it would be okay to do that? Well, because we don't do anything about it. If it was up to me, if it was up to me, honestly, the United States of America would be so strong that if indeed somebody reached out and grabbed an American, the first thing that would happen would be that the government of the country involved would go get that American, make sure that he or she was okay, and send them back to the United States, then call the president. In other words, they'd be so afraid of the United States, they would not consider allowing some American to get kidnapped on their streets. How come that's not the case? This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good afternoon. I'm John David Wells. On this broadcast, we bring you the news, and we depropagandize it so that you have some idea of just exactly what the facts are. Something very strange happened It happened yesterday after this broadcast was completed. We got word that Hunter Biden had decided to plead guilty to 9 federal tax charges brought against him by special counsel David Weiss. This according to his attorney. Well, they went to court today, and federal prosecutors were shocked. More about that coming up in just a couple of moments. The president's son remains free on bond until sentencing on December 16th. Abby Lowell, the first son's attorney, earlier said in federal court that Biden intends to switch his plea and intends to plead guilty. He initially pled not guilty. A source familiar with the special counsel's team told Fox News Digital this is not a done deal for Hunter Biden, that it's currently just an offer the defense put on the table. The judge had Hunter Biden agree under oath to no longer remain silent and told him that if he pleads guilty, he gives up his rights to a trial. Before the court took a 30-minute break, Judge Mark Scarsi said the court doesn't need the government's agreement to help to accept an Alford plea. The development comes after Hunter Biden's lawyers prepared to argue that he was too high or drunk to pay his taxes. According to the Justice Department manual, DOJ prosecutors cannot take what is called an Alford plea except in the most unusual of circumstances. An Alford plea is when a defendant acknowledges that a prosecutor's evidence would likely be enough to convict, so they accept a sentence but maintain their innocence. A source familiar with Weiss's team said Biden's attorneys and the special counsel team are not talking directly right now, and the special counsel's team is trying to figure out next steps while talking internally. The U.S. Department of Justice is also trying to assess how and when it could get involved. The trial began today with jury selection in Los Angeles. Weiss charged Biden with 3 felonies and 6 misdemeanors concerning $1.4 million in owed taxes that have since been paid. Weiss alleged a pattern by which the president's son did not pay his federal income taxes while also filing false tax returns. That looks an awful lot like tax evasion to me. Anyway, that being said, that's not what he's being charged with. In the indictment, Weiss alleged that Biden engaged in a 4-year scheme to not pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes he owed for tax years 2016 through 2019 from in or about January 2017 through in or about October 15th, 2020, and to evade the assessment of taxes for tax year 2018 when he filed false returns in or about February 2020. Weiss said that in furtherance of that scheme, Biden subverted the payroll tax and tax withholding process of his own company, Owasco PC, by withdrawing millions from the companies outside the payroll and tax withholding process that it was designed to perform. Special counsel alleged that Biden spent millions of dollars on an extravagant lifestyle rather than paying his tax bill, that in 2018 he stopped paying his outstanding and overdue taxes for tax year 2015. Weiss alleged that Biden willfully failed to pay taxes in 2016, 17, 18, and 19 on time, despite having access to funds to pay some or all of the taxes, and that he willfully failed to file his 2017 and 2018 tax returns on time. This is the second time that Biden is on trial this year, stemming from charges out of Weiss's investigation. He also has those gun charges. And so there are a lot of things to unravel here. And we have several video reports that I want to bring to you. Let's see what we got here. Actually, we only have one, and it has to do with what's going on with Hunter Biden with regard to why he suddenly decided that he was going to plead guilty. Why do you suppose that would be? Why do you suppose that would be? Why would he suddenly just change his plea? Any idea? Well, the people at CNN have some ideas, and they gave us this today for your perusal. Why did Hunter Biden suddenly plead guilty? There might be something about it.
I thought that he was going to do this unusual maneuver where he was basically going to not admit guilt but have the judge impose a punishment. Instead, he's pleading guilty. He offered a guilty plea. Do you think that suggests that ultimately he thinks that his sentence is going to be that he's either going to be pardoned or his sentence is going to be commuted by his dad?
Absolutely. Caleb Holantz and I reported several weeks ago that there had been some discussions about a plea deal and those stalled. This is not a deal. He's not getting anything here. All he's doing is pleading guilty. And even though the White House has denied it as recently as today, saying the president does not intend to pardon or commute whatever happens to his son, it is impossible to believe, Jake, that the president of the United States is going to allow his son to go to jail when they believe these are cases that would not have been brought against Hunter if his last name was not Biden. It is impossible to believe that they're going to allow him to go to jail when it is in his father's power to prevent that, either through a commutation or through a pardon. They're on the record saying it's not going to happen. Based on what he decided today, he wasn't even willing to wait for the judge to make a decision on that unusual Alford plea. He just said, no, we're going to plead guilty to everything. Strongly suggests he expects some clemency.
I mean, he's not going to be president after January 20th, 2025. So, as you say, it's impossible to imagine that, given the fact that there's no political ramifications for him. He's on his way out the door. Yep. What kind of sentencing do you think he might face, Hunter Biden?
So let me put this really starkly. If Hunter Biden does not receive a commutation or a pardon, he is almost certainly going to federal prison. If we look at this tax case, the guidelines, which are not mandatory, but they're influential and binding, look to call for about a 3-year sentence for Hunter Biden. Now, you can convince a judge as a defense lawyer, good defense lawyer, to go below that, but I don't see that going all the way down to probation. And let's not forget, Hunter Biden has to be sentenced on the gun case in Delaware, where he's looking at a year or so, again, under the guidelines. So the choice for the president is a very stark one. Either pardon Hunter Biden or, in all likelihood, watch him go to prison. That's a tough decision. I don't know. As a father, I can't imagine. Put aside the legality, I can't imagine watching your son go to prison.
No, it's impossible to imagine.
It's not going to happen. And we even have jurors. We got them on the record in Wilmington saying, look, we think this case is kind of stupid, but they proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. It is absolutely impossible to believe that Joe Biden is going to leave the White House and let his son go to federal prison, no matter what they say on the record.
No one who thinks that.
Yeah, there is a lot to this. And I talked about this, I guess it was last year, when all this stuff was coming down. And I said, if I was the president of the United States, if I was Joe Biden, would I let my son go to jail? The answer is no. I wouldn't let my son go to jail. I mean, politics can twist in the wind as far as I would be concerned. But there's more to that. There is more to it. And what I'm trying to say is this. It's not just going to stop with a pardon for Hunter Biden. If Joe Biden's going to if he's going to pardon Hunter, why wouldn't he pardon everybody else in his family, including himself? That can be done, you know. So why wouldn't he do that? 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Why do you suppose that would be the case? Why that wouldn't be the case? He could pardon his brother. He could pardon his son. He could pardon anybody who took any of this money out of various foreign governments from around the world. What would that do to his legacy? Or does Joe Biden even care one way or another? He's not especially enamored with the Democrat Party. He wouldn't be worried about, say, for example, damaging his party, because they certainly damaged him. So what would be the downside? What would be the downside? Joe Biden, for better or worse, will always be a United States president. There are people that certainly respect the office. I'm one of them, regardless of who holds the office. And regardless of who holds the title, Joe Biden is the president of the United States. And he will always be a president of the United States. And I understand there would be some implied guilt for his family and his son and so on and so on. I mean, he keeps his son out of jail. Now, the question is this, and I just bear with me here for a moment. This pardon idea might also rest on who wins the 2024 presidential election. Because while Joe Biden really wouldn't care that much about his particular legacy at that particular moment, given the choice of keeping his son out of jail and maybe the rest of his family out of jail too, based on the precedents that were laid down by his own party against President Trump. Not that that matters. There is a definite two-tiered justice system. There's one justice system for Democrats, for friends of Democrats, for Democrat donors, et cetera, et cetera. And there's another judicial system for Donald Trump. But at some moment, somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to say, we're really screwing this up, and they'll probably do something to try to fix it. Or maybe not. I don't know. It would also be a case where, okay, the rich, from a political standpoint, simply make things disappear because they can. And then you got to throw in the media saying, okay, so the media will uphold virtually anything that Joe Biden does and come up with some sort of spin or excuse as to why it's absolutely a brilliant move. Unless, and this gets back to the election, unless Kamala Harris wins. If Kamala Harris wins, that would damage the Democrat Party if indeed Joe Biden pardoned his son and the rest of his family. But does Joe Biden care? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Now, that article that I just gave you was from Fox News. It was a little bit late. CNN has done an update which went with this report, and let's bring that to you. Hunter Biden pled guilty to all 9 charges in his federal tax case today. District Judge Mark Scarsi in Los Angeles accepted his plea. Sentencing is now scheduled for December 16th, notably after the November presidential election. The prosecution did not object to the date, which was proposed by the judge. The president's son has now officially pled guilty to 1 count of felony tax evasion. Okay, so he was popped for tax evasion. 2 counts of felony filing fraudulent tax returns, 4 misdemeanor counts of failing to pay taxes, and 2 misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns. The guilty plea came in a convoluted all-day hearing on the same day that his trial was supposed to begin, with jury selection in Los Angeles. 120 prospective jurors waited in a sequestered assembly room throughout the day while prosecutors and Biden's lawyers haggled in court as to how to move forward. Okay, what about those 120 people? I bet you they're really pleased about that. The plea also came hours after Biden offered an Alford plea, where he would have maintained his innocence, skipped a trial, and accepted any punishment at sentencing. But Biden's team backed away from that plan after prosecutors raised forceful objections, and the judge said he'd want to study the matter and reconvene tomorrow morning. Then there was a guilty plea, a unilateral move by Biden, called an open plea because it was done without a prearranged plea bargain with prosecutors. It's rare for a high-profile defendant to plead guilty to crimes without a leniency deal with prosecutors. Prosecutor Leo Wise said, "We were as shocked as anyone else in the courtroom this morning." But in a surprise turn this afternoon, Biden's team changed course. Instead of the Alford plea, Biden is prepared to enter an open plea and admit that his conduct satisfied the elements of the tax offense, which he's been charged. Biden said under oath in federal court that nobody made him any promises, convinced him to plead guilty in the tax case. The president's son also testified that nobody pressured him to plead guilty in any way. After prosecutors read the full 56-page indictment during the plea proceeding, which took nearly 90 minutes, Scarsi asked Biden standard questions that are part of every plea deal. Do you agree that you committed every element of every crime? Biden answered, quote, yes, unquote. Biden attorney Abby Lowell had said earlier there has not been an agreement between the parties like a plea agreement in which Biden would plead guilty to some charges in exchange for other charges being dropped. The only offer that Hunter Biden's team ever got from prosecutors, Lowell said, was for him to plead guilty to all 9 counts. Well, he did. The resolution of the tax case came on the brink of a trial in downtown Los Angeles. This would have been Biden's second criminal trial this year after he was convicted in June of 3 federal gun charges in Wilmington, Delaware. Prosecutors allege that Biden failed to pay $1.4 million in federal taxes and evaded taxes by filing tax returns with fraudulent business deductions. What else would it be except a pardon from the president? Could you blame him? I mean, what are your thoughts about that? Joe Biden, Okay, so Joe Biden goes ahead and pardons his son. Would that be something that you would not do? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Would it change your mind about President Biden in any way, positively or negatively, if he indeed pardoned his son? Like I said, I've got 4 sons. We're all kind of pirates. And while we haven't gotten into trouble, it could happen. And if I was in a position to pardon my son, I absolutely would. Is that a character flaw? This is the Wells Report. Think that over and let me know. Back in a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thank you very much for being a part of this broadcast. Thanks for joining us. It's nice. So there were a couple of comments I want to share with you from the chat room. Evie says, I don't particularly have a problem with Biden pardoning his son for these crimes, but would that also be allowable if he had committed a violent crime? The answer is yes. And then Brad said, JD, Joe Biden hasn't been charged with anything. That's true. But neither had Richard Nixon. On a September Sunday in 1974, all right, and this comes to us from the Minnesota Reformer. This is an op-ed piece. On a September Sunday in 1974, President Gerald R. Ford issued a full, free, and absolute pardon to his predecessor, Richard M. Nixon. The pardon took place within a month of Nixon's resignation and the corresponding elevation of Ford. The pardon was issued unilaterally by President Ford under his constitutional authority in Article 2 of the Constitution. Ford's pardon was criticized at the time, which prompted him to make an unprecedented appearance before a congressional panel to deny that there was any deal made between he and Nixon, who had resigned a month earlier on August 9th. His public explanation quelled some of the critics, and over time it was seen as a somewhat heroic gesture, earning plaudits from many, including the Profile and Courage Award given by the family of one of Ford's other predecessors, John F. Kennedy. But according to this op-ed piece, that recent adulation for Ford's pardon looks foolish in retrospect. By failing to hold Nixon accountable for his wrongdoing, Ford created a precedent that allows many Trump supporters to maintain that he should not be subject to criminal prosecution or penalties for his actions, no matter how improper. And so there is a precedent, and it is a full, free, and absolute pardon. No charges were ever filed against Nixon. None. And the president just made all that stuff disappear. President Ford. No matter what it was. I remember the argument at the time was, my God, President Nixon could have killed somebody, and he was going to go scot-free. Well, he didn't kill anybody. And so that was kind of like just rhetoric. But there is a precedent out there. And I got to say, if I was Joe Biden, I would grant a free, full, and absolute pardon to his son and probably his brother and maybe even himself. The politics, we get down into the gutter of politics and you sort of shake your head and you just wonder. And you go, really? But at the end of the day, you have to look at it from a human standpoint and certainly a family standpoint. Would that hurt Joe Biden? Maybe among right-wing commentators, but left-wing commentators would find a way to immunize Joe Biden from any of those pardons should he choose to make them. And it depends on how angry he is with the Democrat Party. There would be political damage if he did this following a 2024 electoral victory by Kamala Harris. It would damage the party. But would he care? Would he care? Like so many other things, we will see. So there's this. A federal judge last week ruled in favor of a whistleblower advocacy group that sued the Justice Department to unseal documents related to secret communications and surveillance of congressional staffers who were investigating the DOJ. Empower Oversight Whistleblowers and Research won a partial victory in a lawsuit it filed in May when a federal court ordered the DOJ to release the documents. The victory last week came days after the group filed a second lawsuit to force the Justice Department to unseal additional records. Quote, the requested records are likely to show a startling failure by the DOJ to respect long-established separation of powers in the United States Constitution. These records will show the length to which the DOJ, when starting in 2016 to secretly surveil various congressional staff members of both political parties who are actively engaged in oversight of the DOJ pursuant to their constitutional authorities. Oh, really? So you're saying that the DOJ would use the tools available to it through the FBI to commit unwarranted spying on congressional staffers that happen to be part of an investigation into the DOJ? That's as corrupt as it gets. It's a violation of the Constitution. Not that the DOJ cares about the Constitution. Witness the January 6th people, witness Donald Trump, witness all kinds of other miscreancy by the FBI. So the DOJ is now trying to figure out what to say next because of this whistleblower advocacy group deciding to get some papers from the DOJ, and a federal judge ruled in favor of them. Where does this go? It looks awfully corrupt, doesn't it? I mean, the corruption is writ large, is it not? I mean, if this is true, the DOJ spying on congressional staffers of both parties that happen to be involved in oversight of itself. That is unbelievable. But it just might have happened. This is the Wells Report. Stick around. That was hour number one. Hour number two coming up in just a couple of moments. Donald Trump is in the news, and in the news about court. Speaking of Hunter Biden in court and so on and so on. We'll have more about that coming up in just a couple of seconds as we continue.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, if we can help. We offer a complete 100%
That's interesting. Okay. Hi, this is the Wells Report. And for some reason, there may have been a malfunction, and I don't really understand it. Okay. Well, we'll figure that out later. In the meantime, we have a couple of moments, and I don't exactly understand what's going on with this. So Brad was talking on the chat room. He said, so you can pre-pardon yourself for a crime you haven't been accused of. That's a can of worms. But, no, I didn't get lost. I'm just trying to figure out just exactly how come my 6-minute commercial set only went about as many minutes as it went. I don't understand. I don't know why it stopped. But we'll figure it all out sometime. It's a technical glitch that happens. And coming up in now 5 seconds, we'll start the second hour of the Wells Report. And we'll pretend that none of this actually happened. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. What does that mean? This is the Wells Report. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. Your opinion, my opinion, let's compare. Let's share. Let's figure out what's going on factually, respectfully, and let's get to the bottom of this. What do you say? News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Greetings. Yvonne asks, did JD get lost? No, JD did not get lost. I'm just trying to figure out what happened with my terribly expensive and sophisticated machinery that I have around me. What is going on? Is it a conspiracy? Could be. I don't know. I'll look this over. I'll look this over after the show and say just exactly what happened. We'll figure it out. So President Trump is also in a kind of a weird political situation. He has what has been called lawfare surrounding him for years and years and years. And indeed, it's coming to fruition in various courtrooms around the country. Indeed, in Washington, D.C., U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan has set a timeline for debating whether former President Donald Trump is immune from election conspiracy charges that will not allow a trial before the November election. Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith's team is arguing that Chutkan could decide whether Trump is immune from prosecution before making other decisions in the case. The timeline she subsequently laid out agreed with their request to handle the immunity question while also considering Trump's other challenges to the charges. The Supreme Court, as you know, because we reported it here on the Wells Report, hang on just a second. Anyway, the Supreme Court ruled in July that Trump is presumed immune from charges for his official acts in office, but prosecutors contend he is vulnerable to charges for unofficial acts that he allegedly violated the law in his effort to overturn his 2020 defeat. He was the President of the United States. He was acting in his official duties and therefore is officially immune. This is a pretty straightforward situation in my view. I wonder if Judge Chutkan will feel the same way. I don't know. We'll find out as time goes by. Trump lawyer John Lauro argued it would be unfair to consider immunity before other disputes are resolved, such as how much evidence is shared in the case. Chutkan set up deadlines for Trump's team to dispute whether they have reviewed or received all the evidence before the immunity arguments are due. Lauro said former Vice President Mike Pence's communications with Trump were immune, and their inclusion in the indictment would lead to the dismissal of the entire case. We may be dealing with an illegitimate indictment from the get-go, said Lauro. She also mentioned that the sensitive timing of the case and encouraged Chutkan to move deliberately in the year-old charges so as not to damage Trump's electoral prospects by presenting more detailed evidence against him in public before the election. But Chutkan said she would not be taking the election into consideration in setting deadlines. Chutkan said this court is not concerned with the electoral schedule. That is nothing I'm going to consider. I don't see how she can avoid considering these things. Because, of course, as we know, this has never happened before. Nobody has gone after a president and now former president in this way because it's just never happened. Why? Because there is presumptive immunity. That's something else that we've talked about. The President of the United States cannot be subject to any kind or all kinds of various charges, pardon the pun, but trumped up against him by various prosecutors in various jurisdictions around the country. Local, state, federal, which has all happened to President Trump. All of it. Nobody's ever done this before. And so all of this is brand new territory. Judge Chutkan has made it abundantly clear that she is very straightforwardly a not Trump friend. In other words, her decision-making has been decidedly one-sided, along with other judges in New York, famously Judge Juan Merchan. And a lot of people look at all this stuff, and including the 34 felony charges that have been leveled against President, or actually he's been convicted of in New York. And so, okay, what are we going to do? What is Chutkan going to do? I put forward a long time ago that she was in a tight spot because she is in the District of Columbia. This is a DC jurisdiction, a DC federal court. And that is not friendly Trump territory. Even if this did go to trial, who would the jurors be? We saw that in New York. New York is a place, for whatever reason, that has decided to turn on President Trump. And they found him guilty of these 34 felony counts in that state. Well, okay. What is Chutkan going to do? I put forward a long time ago that she needed to find an off-ramp. She needed to get away from this. Now, I don't know what her plans for her judicial future might be, but all I can say on this is that if she does this right, then say, for example, a Democrat president down the road might indeed elevate her into some higher office, like, for example, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. She may be trying to figure that out. If indeed she's in a position where she says, okay, she finds a way to get an off-ramp, she either dismisses the case or what have you, will that future be harmed? Don't know. Don't have any idea. But this is what happens when politics starts playing around with the judicial branch of our government. It's not good. That is a fact. Now, Judge Chutkan can say that the Supreme Court has spoken, that indeed these acts were official government acts, and they were. They had to do with the whole of government. Donald Trump was making presidential moves. And say, for example, that Judge Chutkan goes ahead with a trial, they find President Trump guilty. Does that mean that the particular process of politics is now going to get thrown into the ash can? And then does that not lay a clear path for election fraud in the future? Because if a president cannot say anything, if he cannot do anything about what appears to him as a fraudulent election, and that is certainly the case, he keeps saying it over and over and over, then a president just has to sit down and not do anything political? Is that really where we're going to go with this? No, I don't see this happening. I don't see that there's any real opportunity for this case to turn into anything except a gigantic mess. Sorry, I had a small little offstage. Thank you. A small little offstage direction to some friends of mine. So, what about these other things? Jack Smith was not duly appointed as a special counsel. He was outside the statute. That's also plain. That's also plain. So the defense, Trump's defense, is now sitting there looking at this saying, okay, so we don't think that this is, we don't think that the special counsel actually has legal standing in the case, which means the case would be tossed again. But that would also require Judge Chutkan to rule on that issue. The statute is plain. Jack Smith was appointed outside that statute. That's also plain. So once again, are we going to, shall we say, affirm or even expand the two-tiered legal system that we have in the nation right now? 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. What's happening here? I mean, we are literally twisting federal law into knots in an effort to keep President Donald Trump from being the president of the United States again. The DOJ has twisted itself into a pretzel and looks awful. The FBI's credibility is dust. 52 former intelligence officials have come out on the record saying that certain aspects of law are moot insofar as, and that was about the Hunter Biden laptop. Well, if those are the same guys that would actually guide America's intelligence when they were working, and some of them still are, then how can we depend on our intelligence? So now we have a problem with the DOJ. We have a problem with the FBI. We have a problem with the intelligence community, all because we're trying to keep Donald Trump from being the president of the United States again. There are people who say there is no deep state. It's right there in front of us. And it's still right there in front of us. And not only does it involve all those agencies, it also involves the judicial branch of our government, represented by now Tanya Chutkan. If indeed she decides to move forward with this case, if she says that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with Jack Smith's appointment, which is bogus. And if she then goes and says, and as far as I'm concerned, the Supreme Court ruling that President Trump was acting or that presidents are immune from prosecution for official acts, if she says that doesn't apply to Donald Trump, then what were those acts that he was doing while he was president and talking about the election? You know, there are times when you just simply have to cut your losses and stop. I have asked on many different occasions that these deep state actors and these people that are agitating to twist American law into a political shape for the sake of keeping Donald Trump out of the presidency, I have said on several occasions they should stop. All of this came unglued when the Supreme Court of the United States said that presidents were immune, absolute immunity for actions they take that are official. These are official acts by this president. I'm talking about President Trump. They're official. He does get to call his vice president. He does get to ask his vice president any question or for some sort of favor at any time for any reason. Or are we going to take that off the table too? When you start combining all this stuff with, say, for example, I don't know, presidential advisors that can be compelled to testify against the president that they indeed serve, and that we throw away executive privilege, and we do all that, who's the president going to talk to in the future? The answer is no one. And for these people that are worried about the presidency becoming a dictatorship, well, if you're only dependent upon yourself and your own thoughts, does that not make the president at some level a dictator? He can't rely on his cabinet members, can't rely on his advisors, can't rely on his immunity from prosecution. Why would you ever want to be a president? And what kind of a president would we get out of that? This is the Wells Report. Think that over and let me know next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. I am John David Wells. Thanks very much for joining me. CNN reported a little bit on the stylings inside the District Court of Tanya Chutkan today. And this is what they had to say regarding the things going on therein.
Yeah, well, if there were a couple things to note here. The first is that moment where Judge Tanya Chutkan jumped in. There was a spicy banter going on between her and Donald Trump's attorney, John Lauro, about how long it should take for everyone to get together all of the evidence, the briefing, the legal arguments to talk about presidential immunity. Trump's team obviously wanted to slow things down. They were going back and forth very quickly in the courtroom, so much so that the court reporter had to say, hold on, you're talking talking over one another, judge and defense attorney. And then John Lauro said, you know, there's a very sensitive time in our nation's history, and that's when you could see he lost the judge. Judge Tanya Chutkan sat back in her chair. She sighed, and then she put a finger up, stopped the banter, took a pause, and said, let's discuss what the sensitive time is here. The election is not relevant to the timeline. And that just put a different flavor across the courtroom of the discussions about timing here. And she pulled it back to say, we're going to talk about what's actually needed, what I can do here, and how to move this forward. She didn't put a trial date on the calendar, and she didn't put a timeline down yet. She does say she is going to set one up for later today, hopefully, if she can put that out. But what the subtext here, she didn't want that this is not about the presidential election, Donald Trump running for presidency, and whether or not the Justice Department is able to put forward evidence before November.
Yeah, the thing about that is they're not going to. She's not going to get the choice. She's simply not going to have this choice. So what she did was she listened to all of this and she realized that she's caught in this gigantic web of political deceit, and it all landed on her lap behind a federal bench. I told you a long time ago that Judge Chutkan was put in an impossible position, and she has been put in an impossible position. I've also told you time and time again that politics poisons everything, including the federal courts, as it appears. When the federal courts, the judiciary branch in general, is supposed to be apolitical. And so she's stuck. She's got politics on one side, she's got the law on the other. What's she going to do? The DOJ has just brazenly chosen politics over American law, up to and including twisting American law to suit a political narrative, that getting rid of Donald Trump. And then the other aspect of that is, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're simply going to put all these precedents out there that will twist American politics and law for decades. The FBI's reputation is in tatters. It will take decades for it to repair itself if it starts today. The DOJ, what is the DOJ? What is the Department of Justice? It has turned itself into the Department of Political Justice. And that's not something that we have in America. We have a Bill of Rights. And we just found out that the DOJ set that aside to start spying on congressional staffers that happen to be involved in the oversight process of, yes, the DOJ. The only thing you can think of here is, okay, so they figure, I'm talking about I'm talking about the American left, I'm talking about the Democrat Party. They have decided that the damage they're doing to themselves is not as bad as the damage that would be done if Donald Trump was the president again. The problem with it is they're using the tools of government designed for benevolent governance and turning it into a political hit piece on Donald Trump, damaging the entire fabric of government. That's what I see. How about you? 817-379-2172. Let's see if this one works. This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good afternoon. John David Wells at your service. So, while we're on the subject of President Trump, former President Trump delivered a major economic address in New York today, announcing his plan to cut the corporate tax rate to 15% and also create a government efficiency commission led by Elon Musk, while vowing to make America richer and stronger if elected in November. Now, this was talked about by Fox News today. Actually, it was Fox Business News. And this is what they had to say regarding this efficiency in government committee or commission that President Trump is promising if he is reelected. Take a look at this.
It is a great idea. Look, our federal government has become massively bloated. So many of the federal agencies are doing things that were not their core mission when Congress initially authorized them. I'll go a step further. Most of the agencies have not been reauthorized in decades because you just can't do the implementing bills through Congress. Congress just hasn't done them, and that's a failure of Congress, of which I'm a part. We should be authorizing these committees and making sure that what they're doing is their core mission as they were created to do, not only to the side missions that the bureaucrats love for them to do. And then number three, we waste billions and billions of dollars. It's been something that's been reported for decades now. Sure. Nobody does anything about it because we don't run the bills through Congress to do that. I think it's a great idea. Would love for Elon to be a part of it. Yeah. We need people in the private sector to really take reins of this thing.
But it would be very difficult to implement. I mean, chopping out any section of the federal bureaucracy is a real uphill struggle. But again, I would say that if anybody can do it, it's Elon Musk.
Yeah, I think it would be. Elon Musk could probably get that done. But the thing about a presidential commission, they would not have any powers to enact any of this. What they would do is they get together, they'd say, okay, we can save this much money and that much money and this and that and such and stuff, having to do with whatever would be next. And what they would do at that particular moment, put it on the president's desk, and it would be up to him to actually implement it. So, okay, so what would that look like? Regarding the economic stuff, let's go to the president talking in New York today regarding what he plans for corporate taxes.
Instead of attacking industries of the future, we will embrace them, including making America the world capital for crypto and Bitcoin. Fourth, at the suggestion of Elon Musk, who has given me his complete and total endorsement. That's nice. Smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. It's very, very much appreciated. I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now. And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force. Be interesting. If he has the time, that'd be a good one to do it, but he's agreed to do it. In 2022, fraud and improper payments alone cost taxpayers an estimated hundreds of billions of dollars. And to further support the revival of American manufacturing, my plan calls for expanded R&D tax credits, 100% bonus depreciation, expensing for new manufacturing investments, and a reduction in the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15% solely for companies that make their product in America.
Those are actually pretty good ideas, although it would face an uphill battle through the Congress. But what's fascinating about that is that, the progressives say they want to make enemies out of people with lots and lots of money, with these big corporations. They want to make enemies out of them. Why? Why do they want to do that? Well, they want to do that because they're evil and they're rich and they don't pay their fair share, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What people need to understand, and I've been trying to get this across for a long time along with other people, that who pays for all of these jobs that Americans do every day? Who pays for those? Well, it's all these quote unquote rich people, these billionaires. How many people does Elon Musk employ? Tesla, SpaceX, X. He employs hundreds of thousands of people. And all of them are getting paychecks. And all of them are paying taxes. on those paychecks. In other words, when you cut that kind of tax, and especially when Donald Trump said this, and it wasn't brought up in the reporting, when Donald Trump brought this up, what was fascinating to me is that he said this would be for corporations doing business in America, doing their manufacturing in America. Again, providing jobs for lots and lots of people in the United States. Those people would get paychecks. Those people would pay taxes. Even John F. Kennedy knew that when you cut taxes, government revenues increase, not decrease. Remember when they were talking about all the $1.2 trillion worth of tax cuts that President Trump gave to the wealthy? I did some research on that. Those particular tax cuts netted $600 billion for the government. It's more than that. It's somewhere in this. It's $600 billion plus. $600 billion. That's a lot of money, especially when you're talking about a country that's $35 trillion in national debt. And so when you start thinking about these things, you start thinking about these ideas, they're not altogether weird, to paraphrase Tim Walz on the other side. Let's also talk a little bit about the debate. The debate rules are locked in, and it goes like this. According to Fox News, USA Today, the rules are set. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump will face off Tuesday of next week in their first debate. But after weeks of back and forth over rules, the two campaigns came to an agreement with ABC News. Those network, this happened yesterday, announced that Trump and Harris campaigns have accepted the rules for the upcoming debate, which will be held at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. For the most part, the rules are the same as Trump's previous 2024 debate with President Joe Biden, who dropped out of the race in late July following weeks of pressure from fellow Democrats after his poor debate performance. It cost him his presidency. I predicted it, in fact. I did. I said, this ends his campaign, and it quite probably ends his presidency. And I was right. That was in the immediate days after that disastrous debate. World News Tonight anchor David Muir and ABC News Live Prime anchor Lindsay Davis will moderate a 90-minute showdown, which will be the only people asking questions to the two presidential nominees. No voters or other officials will question Trump and Harris. The Harris campaign in recent weeks called for a rule change from the debate between Trump and Biden that the mics would be turned on even when a candidate was not speaking. The campaigns ultimately agreed to having the mics be muted when a candidate is not speaking. I also saw something very interesting the other day. It was a news report that talked a little bit about how Donald Trump was distracting President Biden in the background when his mic was muted. The thing about that is that most of that debate, there was a split screen between the candidates. If Donald Trump had been trying to interrupt President Biden, which he did not do, we would have all seen it. I found that to be dishonest journalism again. It was amazing. I'm sitting there looking at that. I was dumbfounded. President Trump was on camera most of the time when President Biden was speaking. He certainly wouldn't know when he was off camera. I didn't see him trying to distract President Biden. In fact, I said at the outset of that debate that all President Trump really needed to do was keep President Biden talking, because he would eventually disintegrate right before our eyes, and that is exactly what happened. I suspect that something similar is going to happen with Kamala Harris, because I just haven't seen her actually talk about things without getting into trouble. Either she comes up with a policy that is universally decried as not workable by people of both sides, or she descends into a word salad that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And she has not done what I have continually called on her to do. Take questions from the press. Take questions from the press. Answer those questions. Most of those reporters are friendly to you. Why would you not do that? Why would you not do it? There was also some other things. This from Fox Business News, part of that same interview with Congressman Donalds on Fox Business. And this one was about the debate and what President Trump said regarding Kamala Harris trying to change the rules even at the last of the outset.
Says Harris had a special request for next week's debate. Roll tape.
Did her campaign, when they said that they wanted to change the rules that they had agreed to, did they ask for notes? Did they ask for the...
They wanted notes.
They wanted to be seated, and they wanted your mic hot.
They wanted a desk. They didn't want to do... I said, you got to do a stand-up.
After they already agreed to the other.
Yeah, but they wanted a desk from the beginning. You know who else wanted a desk? Sleepy Joe. He wanted it.
Congressman, I'm being rather facetious here, but why do you think she wanted notes? Why not a teleprompter?
Well, she wants notes because she can't remember the policy positions that she's talking about right now. Let's just be very clear. All the things that Kamala Harris is going out in the campaign trail and saying, why didn't she sponsor that when she was a member of the United States Senate? She's the number 2 official in our government. How come she didn't have conversations with Joe Biden to get that stuff done right now? All these things are coming up because she wants to be president of the United States, not because she believes them, not because they're her core principles, her core ideas. So you need notes if you're trying to explain something that's really not in your mind for a long period of time, things you've already thought through and had real ideas about. These ideas are brought up by the consultants. That's why she needs notes. And listen, America can see it. 50 days now, she did one interview with Tim Walz, and it wasn't very good at all, quite frankly. She needs notes in order to perform. She needs the teleprompter in order to perform. I am glad that there are no notes. If you want to be president, Kamala Harris, let's see what you have. Let's not see what the consultants have for you.
Reading between the lines here, Byron Donalds is right. The thing that she said in that interview, the one interview she's had, that she made abundantly clear was that her values had not changed. Her policies have, but that her values had not changed. That's why she's having trouble with this very same thing that Byron Donalds just pointed out. Because she's in a position where she's talking about things she doesn't believe in. The thing she does believe in won't get her elected as president of the United States. That's a very good piece of analysis by an admitted, partisan, biased guy. But still, those are really good points. You know, I'm not trying to run down Kamala Harris. No, I'm offering her sincere advice. And it's too late now because the debate is coming up on Tuesday. And I don't care what kind of debate prep she's going through, because we just haven't seen her actually under the gun. And she needs to be. She needs to start talking about these things. Donald Trump today talking about how he's going to cut the corporate tax rate to 15%. You may not agree with that policy, but it's there. Kamala Harris wants to raise it to 28%. She's at least made that position clear. Now, when you talk about policies that are out there, you keep hearing all these people talking about Project 2025. Why is that? Why do they talk about Project 2025? Because the actual former presidential agenda is out there. It's Agenda 47. Why don't they report on that? Well, because Agenda 47 brings up things that Kamala Harris can't explain and solutions to the things she can't explain. So by talking about Project 2025, the mainstream media doesn't have to talk about Agenda 47, which is the actual platform of Donald Trump. Once again, I'm not trying to put one of these candidates above the other in any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying to let you know what the facts are. and how the mainstream media refuses to report on this fairly. That's the way it looks to me. How about you? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. A few more minutes left on the Wells Report. Let's talk things over. Coming up next, Mayorkas is back in the news, and it's not good. This is the Wells Report.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells thanking you once again for being with us today. Let's see, this broadcast is going to be on at this time again tomorrow. But then on Monday, things are going to change a little bit. We're going to go back to a morning schedule. I'll have more information on Facebook and some of the other platforms that you're watching on. So be ready for that. The Department of Homeland Security, okay, to be accurate, the Department of Homeland Politics has essentially abdicated its responsibility to provide Homeland Security in favor of politics. Once again, it looks like the deep state to me. That's just an opinion. I know I'm not on the opinion camera, but that's why I say it's just an opinion. This is a Fox News exclusive. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is facing a grilling from Congress for the Biden administration's refusal to turn over the nationalities of people arrested on the FBI terror watch list at the border by Border Patrol. We all know that terrorists have come across the border. We're not talking about the terrorists that have come across the border and actually infiltrated the United States. We're talking about the ones that were caught Lots of these people are on the terrorist watch list compiled by the FBI. Well, what countries are they coming from? Well, there have been people that have been trying to get to the bottom of that question, the answer, if you will. And Mayorkas isn't playing ball. They are now refusing to turn over the nationalities of the people on the terror watch list that they have caught. Forget about the ones that they have not caught. And I guarantee you there are plenty of those in this country that they have not caught. Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, wrote a letter to Mayorkas. I suspect the real reason you're unlawfully withholding this information about terror suspects' nationalities isn't due to privacy or security concerns, but rather partisan concerns that it would alarm the American people. Once again, you're attempting to hide evidence of the Biden-Harris administration's border crisis, unquote. CBP wrote to Fox News last week, again denying a request to provide the nationalities of suspects on the FBI terror watch list arrested at the southern border between ports of entry by the Border Patrol. Why wouldn't they do that? The watch list, now called the Terror Screening Data Set, includes known or suspected terrorists as well as individuals believed to pose a potential threat to the United States, including affiliates of individuals on the watch list. The request sought only the nationalities of those encountered and no further information, but it was denied. Fox News made the request in October of last year, was initially denied in May, citing privacy and security concerns. Privacy? We're citing concerns. Mayorkas is worried about the privacy of terrorists on the terror watch list? Oh, I'm sorry. The terror screening data set? Worried about their privacy? Really? And just exactly whose security are they trying to protect? The security of the people of the United States or the security of the people on the terror watch list? I'm sorry, the terror screening data set. We're trying to provide them with security? This gets more absurd every second. And so Tom Cotton wrote this letter, and yeah, it was a good one. I write about troubling reports the Department of Homeland Security is refusing to disclose the nationalities of FBI terror watch list suspects who illegally crossed the southern border. In October of 2023, Fox News filed a Freedom of Information Act requesting disclosure of the nationalities of FBI terror watch list suspects who unlawfully crossed the southern border. A letter denying Fox News' request stated that your agency is, quote, committed to protecting the identity of these individuals on the terror watch list. What for? What for? Hell, these people didn't even protect the identities. Let me go over here. They didn't even protect the identity of Ted Kennedy, who was actually on the terror watch list, and notable other people. That was splattered all over all over the news of the United States. But we actually have people on the terror watch list, genuine people on the terror watch list, and we're protecting their identities? Really? Yeah. Let's see. Who unlawfully covered a letter denying the request that you're committed to protecting the identity of individuals on the terror watch list, and the request was an invasion of personal privacy. Invading the personal privacy of people on the terror watch list. Your agency asserted that the privacy interests of illegal alien terrorists, quote, far outweigh whatever public interest, if any, exists in having their information released. Like I said, this gets absurder and absurder every single day. We're protecting the identities of terrorists. We're protecting their privacy. Okay. Yeah. I have to agree with Tom Cotton on this one. This is political. The people in the Biden administration do not want to frighten the American public with where these people are coming from, what countries they actually originate from. but they're still on the terror watch list. What is going on here? This has been the Wells Report. We'll see you again tomorrow afternoon. Do not miss it. Thanks very much for being with us today, and I'll see you tomorrow.